On a night of pouring rain in New York, Jack Harlan, a former CIA agent, is suddenly attacked at his home by a team of assassins, forcing him to flee and activate his old contact network. He discovers a secret from his past. An encryption device capable of controlling a global criminal network is being hunted by Viktor Kuznetsov, a Russian mafia boss hiding in Spain. Jack decides to fight back to protect his hidden family. Gunshots echoed through the night. Tearing through the thick curtain of rain outside the window of his small apartment on the outskirts of Brooklyn, Jack Harlan shot up from his bed, his body as tense as a guitar string, his hand automatically reaching for the handgun hidden under his pillow. His heart pounded. But his mind had already switched to combat mode, a mode he thought he had left behind 10 years ago. The bedroom door was kicked open, and 3 dark figures burst in, their faces concealed by black masks. Silenced pistols held ready. The first bullet whizzed past Jack's ear and slammed into the wall, leaving the acrid smell of gunpowder mixed with the damp, rainy air. Jack rolled to evade, vaulted over the bed, and returned fire with 2 precise shots. One assassin collapsed, dark red blood pooling on the polished wooden floor under the faint yellow glow from the bedside lamp. "Who are you?" Jack roared, his voice low and filled with fury. But he knew this was no time for questions. The remaining 2 charged, one slashing with a dagger, its steel blade flashing with the lightning outside. Jack dodged, slamming his elbow into the man's throat. Hearing the sickening crunch of bone, the other fired repeatedly, bullets tearing into the wardrobe, sending wood splinters flying. He dashed into the hallway, his bare feet treading on broken glass from the bullet-pierced window. Wind and rain swept into the house, chilling him to the bone. Jack raced down the stairs, his heart pounding wildly at the thought of Lily, his 14-year-old adopted daughter, sleeping in the room below. "Lily, run!" he yelled. But it was too late. From the kitchen, a scream echoed, followed by the sound of a struggle. Jack burst in to see Lily held by a massive assassin, her hair in his grasp, a gun pressed to her head. Lily's eyes were wide with terror, her face pale in the neon glow from the window. "Let her go," Jack snarled, his gun aimed squarely at the man. But the assassin sneered, his voice muffled by his mask. "The device. Harlan. Viktor Kuznetsov wants it now." The name made Jack freeze for a second. Viktor Kuznetsov, the Russian mafia boss he had hunted 10 years ago. The man who had killed his wife during a mission in Paris and was now hiding in Spain, building a criminal empire. The encryption device, the thing Jack had stolen from him. A digital key that could control a global hacking network. From arms trafficking to money laundering on the dark web. Jack thought he had buried it forever. But now, the past was coming back to haunt him. Without hesitating, Jack charged forward, ramming his shoulder into the assassin and sending him crashing over the kitchen table. Lily screamed and ran towards him. Jack fired a shot into the man's leg, splattering blood on the white wall. But from the back door, 2 more men stormed in, their automatic rifles spitting a hail of bullets. Jack pulled Lily behind the refrigerator as bullets pierced the metal, the ricochets echoing loudly. "Dad." "Who are they?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling, her eyes welling with tears. Jack squeezed his daughter's hand tightly. "Old enemies. Now we run." They burst out the back door, the rain stinging their faces like needles. The midnight streets of New York transformed into a war zone, with the pale yellow streetlights reflecting on the wet pavement. Jack pulled Lily through a dark alley, the sound of footsteps echoing behind them. A bullet grazed his shoulder, and he felt warm blood trickle out. But he gritted his teeth and pushed through the pain. "Get in the car," he ordered, pushing Lily into the black SUV parked on the corner. The engine roared, tires squealing on the slick road as they sped away through the light traffic. In the car, Jack checked the rear-view mirror and saw two black cars tailing them closely. "Dad, how did they know where we live?" Lily asked. Her voice a mixture of fear and curiosity. Jack panted, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. "My past. 10 years ago, I was a CIA agent hunting Kuznetsov. I stole something he needs to control the criminal underworld. He activated a small device hidden in the dashboard, his old communications network, sending a distress signal to his only remaining trusted ally, Elena, Lily's birth mother, a former agent hiding out in Chicago." The car weaved across the Brooklyn Bridge, the glaring headlights of their pursuers shining directly at them. Jack floored it, swerving into a narrow alley filled with overturned trash cans and bicycles. One of the enemy cars slammed into a wall, erupting into a massive fireball against the rainy night. But the other car stayed right on their tail. Lily screamed as a bullet shattered the rear windshield. Jack wrenched the wheel, sending the SUV plowing through a small park, kicking up wet turf. Stopping the car in a hidden spot near the Hudson River, Jack checked the wound on his shoulder, his shirt soaked with blood. "Are you okay?" he asked Lily, his eyes full of concern. She nodded, but her face showed clear confusion. "Are you really a spy? Why didn't you ever tell me?" Jack sighed, pulling a small USB from his pocket, the encryption key. "To protect you, but now Kuznetsov knows we're alive. He's hiding in Madrid, Spain, and he won't stop." He stared out into the rain, rage building inside him. 10 years of living a quiet life, of being a normal father, were now shattered. But Jack Harlan was not one to run. He would fight back for Lily, for the justice that had been buried, and for revenge for his late wife. Headlights flashed in the distance. More enemies were on their way. Jack started the car and sped into the darkness. The hunt had begun again, and he knew that to survive, he had to become the hunter. Which area are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are right now? Leave a comment below so I know you are still healthy and fully focused on this story. My dear friend, we will continue right after this. Continuing from the chaotic escape, Jack sneaks into a night market in Chicago to meet an old ally, but is ambushed by Victor's henchmen, leading to a fierce gunfight. He manages to save his adopted daughter Lily, only to discover that his ally has betrayed him, uncovering a larger conspiracy involving a global hacking network. The flash of headlights in the rearview mirror made Jack Harlan grip the steering wheel tighter. The SUV raced through the wet streets of New York, the rain still coming down in sheets, turning the road into a mirror of garish neon lights. Lily sat huddled in the passenger seat, her eyes still red with fear, clutching her small backpack. "Dad, where are we going now?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jack glanced at his daughter, trying to force a reassuring smile. "To Chicago. An old friend will help us." But deep down, doubt was creeping in. 10 years of hiding, all shattered because Viktor Kuznetsov had found them. They drove all night, speeding along dark highways, the wind howling outside the windows like a whisper from the past. Jack checked the wound on his shoulder. The bleeding had stopped, but a sharp pain reminded him of their grim reality. He activated his communication device, sending an encrypted signal to Max Rivera, an old CIA ally now living off-grid in Chicago. "Max will know what to do," Jack muttered, though he wasn't so sure. The past was filled with betrayal, and Kuznetsov's network was vast, spanning from Russia to Spain. By early morning, they reached Chicago, the windy city, its skyscrapers shimmering in the weak dawn light. Jack parked the car on the outskirts and led Lily on foot into a night market, still bustling despite the rising sun. The air was thick with the smell of street food, grilled hot dogs and sandwiches mixed with the sound of jazz drifting from nearby bars. Red lanterns dangled overhead, illuminating stalls selling souvenirs and black market goods. Stay close, Jack whispered, holding Lily's hand tightly. They navigated through the crowd, heading for a small cafe on the corner of the market where Max had agreed to meet. Max Rivera was sitting at a table in the corner, dressed in an old suit, his grey hair a mess, and dark circles under his eyes suggesting sleepless nights. "Jack, you're alive," Max said, his voice raspy, as he stood to hug him. But Jack noticed Max's eyes darting away, avoiding his, "You know, Kuznetsov is hunting me," Jack said directly, sitting down and pulling Lily to shelter behind him. Max nodded, pushing a cup of hot coffee across the table. "He knows about the key. He's building a hacking network in Madrid, Spain. It could control banks, the U.S. government." Lily listened, her eyes wide. "What key?" "Dad," before Jack could answer. The sound of shattering glass erupted from the front of the cafe. 3 assassins charged in, wearing black masks and wielding silenced handguns. The crowd screamed in panic, sending tables and chairs flying. Jack shoved Lily to the floor and rolled away, dodging the first round of bullets. A shot slammed into the wooden wall, sending splinters everywhere. Traitor Jack roared at Max. Seeing him secretly pull out his phone, Max gave a weak smile. "Sorry, Jack." Kuznetsov made a better offer. Jack lunged, smashing his elbow into Max's face with a sickening crack. Max fell backward, blood streaming from his broken nose. But the first assassin was already leaping over a table, dagger slashing. Jack dodged, grabbed the man's wrist, and twisted it until the knife clattered to the floor. He delivered a powerful punch to the gut that doubled the man over, then finished him with a knee to the chest. The assassin collapsed, gasping for breath. From the floor, Lily screamed, "Dad!" The other 2 opened fire, bullets ripping through the bar and sending a shower of glass everywhere. Jack grabbed Max, using him as a shield as he pushed him toward the attackers. A bullet hit Max in the shoulder, and he screamed in agony. Jack picked up the fallen dagger and hurled it at one of the assassins, the blade sinking deep into his thigh. The man fell, his gun clattering away. Jack rushed forward and kicked him hard in the head, knocking him out cold. The last man vaulted over the counter to engage in hand-to-hand combat. He swung a fist, but Jack blocked it and delivered a crushing elbow strike to his throat. With a sickening crunch, the assassin dropped, clutching his neck. The cafe was in chaos, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and burnt coffee. Jack pulled Lily to her feet, checking her over. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "You're such a good fighter, Dad." Jack didn't smile. He turned to Max, who was groaning on the floor. "Why?" he asked, his voice icy. Max coughed up blood. "He had a video. Your wife's death wasn't random. Kuznetsov planned a global hack, from Russia to Spain. Your key is the final piece of the puzzle." Jack clenched his fists, rage surging through him. His wife's death in Paris was now revealed to be part of a much bigger conspiracy. From the market outside, sirens blared. More of Kuznetsov's men were coming. Jack quickly searched Max's pockets and found a small USB evidence of his betrayal. "Run!" he yelled, pulling Lily out the back door. They sprinted down a narrow alley, the smell of garbage and stagnant water hitting them. 2 black cars sped towards them from the end of the alley, their headlights blinding. Jack pushed Lily into an abandoned market stall, taking cover behind a stack of crates. "I'll take care of them," he whispered, drawing his gun. The first assassin jumped out of the car, scanning the area with a rifle. Jack fired once, hitting him squarely in the chest, sending blood flying. A second man charged forward, brandishing a knife. Jack leaped out, blocking the blade with his arm before kicking him hard in the stomach. As the man staggered, Jack locked him in a chokehold and broke his neck with a sickening crack. The driver floored it, aiming the car right at him. Jack rolled out of the way and shot out the tires. The car slammed into a wall and exploded into a massive fireball, lighting up the entire market. Jack pulled Lily onto a nearby motorcycle and hot-wired it. The engine roared, and they sped through the night market, the cold wind whipping at their faces. "This plot is bigger than I thought," Jack muttered, thinking about the USB from Max. Kuznetsov didn't just want the key, he wanted control of the entire criminal underworld. Jack knew he had to get to Nevada to regroup and make a plan. But for now, a fire of vengeance burned inside him to avenge his wife, protect Lily, and topple his enemy's empire. The motorcycle vanished into the Chicago night, leaving a trail of smoke, fire, and corpses in its wake. The fight was far from over. While driving through the Nevada desert, Jack reflects on his past, recalling the mission in Paris 10 years ago, where he stole the device from Victor. He remembers being chased by a helicopter, fighting a team of mercenaries with his bare hands, and trying to contact Lily's mother, another former agent, for help. The scorching Nevada desert sun beat down, turning the highway into a hot, shimmering surface. The motorcycle's tires groaning on the asphalt. Jack Harlan gripped the handlebars tightly as the hot wind, thick with fine sand, stung his face and eyes. Lily sat behind him, her arms wrapped tightly around his waist, her head pressed against his back to block the wind. They had been riding non-stop since leaving Chicago, crossing vast plains and now entering the arid expanse of Nevada. Jack glanced at his rearview mirror. No one was following, but he knew Viktor Kuznetsov wouldn't give up so easily. The USB from Max Rivera felt heavy in his pocket, a constant reminder of the global hacking conspiracy stretching from Russia to Spain. "Dad, I'm tired," Lily whispered, her weak voice nearly lost in the noise of the engine. Jack slowed down and pulled over to the side of the road, stopping in the shade of a massive red rock. The desert stretched out before them, the golden sand glowing under the afternoon sun, and in the distance, the jagged Sierra Mountains rose like the teeth of a saw. He took a water bottle from his backpack and handed it to his daughter. "Drink this. We're almost there." But as he stood there, memories came rushing back like a sandstorm 10 years ago. The mission in Paris, where it all began. He sat down on the hot sand, his eyes staring into the distance. That year, Jack had been a top CIA operative known as the Ghost, tasked with hunting down Kuznetsov, the Russian Mafia boss building an empire in Europe. The mission to steal an encryption key from his villa in Paris. That night, a light rain fell over the Seine, and the lights of the Eiffel Tower sparkled like stars. Jack had infiltrated a lavish party, wearing a sleek black suit, a tiny earpiece connecting him to headquarters. His wife, Sarah, was his partner, posing as a dancer to distract Kuznetsov's bodyguards and create an opening. They moved together perfectly. Jack remembered. Sarah created a diversion with a smoke grenade, and he slipped into the basement, disabling the cameras with a jammer. The safe swung open, revealing the glittering key, the device that could hack the entire global criminal network. But then the alarm screamed. Kuznetsov appeared, his eyes bloodshot with fury. "You will die for stealing from me." A fight broke out. Jack fought two bodyguards hand to hand, their blows heavy as hammers, their knives flashing. He took one down with a spinning kick and snapped the other's neck. Sarah rushed in, shooting down 3 more men, but a stray bullet caught her in the chest. "Jack, run," she whispered, blood soaking her dress. He held his wife, his tears mingling with her blood, but he was forced to flee. the key clutched in his hand. The painful memory made Jack clench his fists, the sand crunching beneath his hands. Sarah died because of Kuznetsov. And now he was hunting Lily, the adopted daughter Sarah took in before she passed away. "What are you thinking about?" Dad, Lily asked, sitting beside him. Jack stroked his daughter's hair. "About your mother. She was a hero." But his words were interrupted by the distant sound of helicopter rotors. Dust swirled up as a pitch-black Black Hawk appeared in the deep blue sky, its spotlight sweeping down like a monster's eye. "Run," Jack shouted, pulling Lily onto the motorcycle. The engine roared as they sped across the desert. Sand flying everywhere. The helicopter chased them. Machine gun fire spitting like rain. Dirt exploding around the vehicle. Jack swerved and dodged, but a bullet grazed the rear wheel, causing the bike to wobble. "Hold on tight," he yelled. They barreled into a narrow canyon, jagged red rocks on either side. The helicopter unable to fly low, but from above, 3 mercenaries parachuted down, fully equipped, rifles at the ready. Jack stopped the bike behind a rock, drawing his handgun hide. Lily, the girl, huddled into a crevice, her eyes wide with panic. The first man charged in, a dagger slashing diagonally. Jack dodged to the side, using his hand to block the blade, then threw a punch into his face. Hearing the sound of a jaw breaking, the man collapsed, blood pouring from his nose. The second man fired from a distance, the bullet grazing Jack's shoulder. Warm blood oozing out, he lunged forward, sweeping the man's legs out from under him, then kicked hard into his chest, ribs cracking. The third man jumped from above, engaging in close combat. He swung a fist. Jack blocked it, using his elbow to strike the throat. The man gasped. Jack locked his neck, snapping it with a crisp crack. The helicopter circled back, sweeping its spotlight. Jack picked up a rifle from a corpse, firing into the cabin, shattering the glass. The pilot lost control, the helicopter plummeting into the desert, exploding into a brilliant fireball. Black smoke billowing. Jack panted, checking on Lily. "Are you okay?" She nodded, but her voice trembled. "Dad, you're like a superhero." Jack didn't smile, pulling out an old communication device from his pocket, sending a signal to Elena, Lily's biological mother, a former CIA agent hiding in Los Angeles. "Elena, need assistance. Kuznetsov is hunting." The signal was sent, but Jack knew time was short. Max's USB revealed that Kuznetsov was planning to hack the American bank from his lair in Madrid, Spain. He had to get to Los Angeles to meet Elena, gather weapons and information. But inside, a mix of rage and tragic determination surged to avenge Sarah, protect Lily, and take down the enemy. They hopped on the motorcycle, speeding into the sunset desert. The swirling dust like a curse from the past. The last rays of sunlight painted the desert red. But the battle was far from over. Jack wondered if Elena was still trustworthy, or was betrayal waiting ahead. "Lily, you have to trust me," Jack whispered as they hid in an abandoned hotel in Los Angeles. They were surrounded by Victor's forces, leading to a brutal close-quarters fight with knives and martial arts. Where Jack revealed his personal motive for revenge, Victor had killed his wife. "Lily, you have to trust me," Jack whispered, his voice muffled by the desert wind still lingering on their dusty clothes. They had arrived in Los Angeles after a long journey from Nevada, the motorcycle exhausted, parked in the suburbs, beneath the shadow of glittering high-rise buildings. This abandoned hotel, an old building in the downtown area, with cracked walls covered in graffiti and shattered windows, was the only place Jack could think of for shelter. Elena, Lily's biological mother, had once used it as a secret meeting spot. Jack led his daughter in through the back door, stepping lightly on the rotting wooden floor, the musty smell rising. "It's safe here for now," he said, but his heart was heavy with worry. The signal sent to Elena had not yet received a response. Lily sat curled up on the old bed, looking at her father with confusion. "Dad, who is Elena? Why do we have to meet her?" Jack knelt down, checking the wound on his shoulder. Dried blood flaking off under the makeshift bandage. He sighed. Memories of Sarah flooding back, his wife, who had adopted Lily before she died. "Elena is your biological mother. She was an agent, like me. She will help us fight against Kuznetsov." But his words were interrupted by the sound of a vehicle engine echoing from outside. Jack rushed to the window. Peering through the cracked glass, 3 black SUVs pulled up. Doors opening. 6 henchmen jumping out. Weapons drawn. "They found us," he muttered, his heart racing. Kuznetsov had a wide network, from Russia to Spain, and now extending to America. "You hide behind the cupboard," Jack ordered, drawing his handgun. Lily trembled, huddling into the dark corner of the room, the light from the street lamp casting long shadows. The front door was kicked in, the sound of splintering wood echoing. The first man charged in, a dagger glinting in the dim light. Jack sidestepped, using his hand to block the blade. Metal clanging. He punched the man in the stomach, causing him to double over, then elbowed him hard in the back. The assassin collapsed, the dagger falling, but 2 more rushed in from the hallway, one swinging a fist, the other wielding a metal pipe. Jack engaged in close combat, blocking the punch with his arm, then sweeping his leg to knock the first man down. He fell face first. Jack kicked hard into his back, hearing bones crack. The man with the pipe swung hard, the wind whistling by Jack's ear. Jack rolled to avoid it, grabbing the dagger from the floor, slashing at the man's leg. Blood sprayed. The man screamed, collapsing. Lily shouted softly from her hiding spot, "Dad!" "Be careful." Jack turned to see 3 more men jumping in through the window, surrounding him in the cramped room. The air was thick, the smell of blood and sweat mingling. One man charged in with professional martial arts. Delivering a high kick, Jack blocked it with his elbow, pain shooting through him. But he countered with a hook to the jaw. The man staggered, blood pouring from his mouth. The second man wielded a knife, slashing repeatedly like rain. Jack dodged, grabbing his wrist, twisting it back, the blade turning and stabbing into the man's own stomach. Blood sprayed, the stench rising. The third man jumped onto the table, throwing a punch. Jack blocked it, driving his knee into the man's stomach, then delivering a hook to the jaw. The man fell, unconscious. The room was now silent. Only the heavy breathing of Jack and Lily's quiet sobs remained. He pulled his daughter out, holding her tightly. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded, wiping her tears. "Dad, how are you so good at fighting? And why is Kuznetsov hunting us?" Jack sat down on the floor, blood soaking through his shirt, his heart heavy. It was time to reveal the truth. 10 years ago, I stole the key from him in Paris. It controls the global hacking network. But Kuznetsov killed your mother, Sarah. My wife? She died in my hands because of him. Jack's voice trembled slightly, rage swelling like a burning fire. Lily's eyes widened. Mom was killed. Jack nodded, rare tears streaming down his face. That's right. I lived in hiding to protect you. But now I must take revenge. For justice. For your mother. The sound of sirens echoed from afar. More of Kuznetsov's forces were coming. Jack checked his bag, pulling out Max's USB. This is the evidence. He is hacking the American bank from Madrid, Spain. He activated the communication device again, sending an urgent message to Elena. A response came immediately. Meet at the Los Angeles harbor. Bring the key. Jack stood up, pulling Lily. Let's go. Elena will help. They burst out the back door, running through a dark alley. The smell of garbage and salty sea air hitting them. Two henchmen blocked their path, knives drawn. Jack pushed Lily behind him and charged in. The first man slashed diagonally. Jack dodged, using his hand to lock the man's neck, slamming his head into the wall. Blood sprayed. He collapsed. The second man kicked. Jack blocked it, then punched into his stomach, causing him to double over. He finished with a kick to the chest, sending the man flying into a trash bin. Run, Jack yelled, pulling his daughter toward the harbor. The lights from the container ship sparkled on the dark water. Elena was waiting, her short silver hair, black suit, and sharp eyes. Jack, you're late, she said, her voice deep. Lily looked at her biological mother. Confused, Mom Elena hugged her daughter. I'm sorry for abandoning you. My love, Jack interjected. Kuznetsov knows everything. We need a plan. Elena nodded, handing over a bag of weapons. Get to Miami first. He has an insider in the CIA. But from the shadows, gunfire erupted. A bullet grazed Elena's shoulder. A new group of henchmen appeared, surrounding the harbor. Jack drew his gun, ready for a new battle. A mix of rage and tragedy surged. He would not stop. For family, for hidden justice. The harbor turned into a battlefield, the sound of gunfire drowning out the crashing waves. A surge of anger rose within Jack as he watched the betrayal evidence video from a hidden USB in Miami. He infiltrated a party of Victor's henchmen, using assassination skills to eliminate a commander, but nearly got caught, forcing him to escape through the sewer system. The sound of gunfire echoed across the Los Angeles harbor, drowning out the waves crashing against the concrete shore. Jack Harlan crouched behind a shipping container, his handgun hot in his hand, firing back at Viktor Kuznetsov's henchman. Elena, Lily's mother, knelt beside him, her rifle firing like rain, taking down two men from a distance. Lily pressed against the wall, covering her ears, eyes tightly shut in the chaotic scene. Fall back, Jack shouted, pulling Elena and Lily to run along the beach. Wet sand flying beneath their feet. A bullet grazed Elena's arm, dark red blood staining her black suit. They dove into the truck Elena had prepared, the engine roaring as they sped through the harbor gate, leaving smoke and bodies behind. Inside the truck, Jack gripped the steering wheel tightly, his eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. Two black SUVs were still tailing them. Elena. What does Max's USB contain? He asked, his voice tense. Elena, bandaging her wound, pulled out the hidden USB evidence of betrayal. Kuznetsov has bribed some CIA agents, including Max. The video shows him planning to hack from Madrid, Spain, aiming to control American finances. Jack plugged the USB into the vehicle's device. The small screen displaying covert footage. Kuznetsov sat in a dark conference room, smirking at Max, discussing the encryption key. Rage surged within Jack like a burning fire, his grip on the steering wheel turning white. Sarah died because of him. And now the conspiracy was spreading. They drove through the night to Miami, the sweltering city illuminated by the bright neon lights of bars and high-rise hotels. Jack parked in the suburbs, leading Elena and Lily into a cheap motel. The walls faded yellow under the scorching sun. You rest, he said to Lily, stroking his daughter's hair. But inside the room, the anger still burned fiercely. The video showed Kuznetsov's henchmen throwing a party at a beachfront villa in Miami. Led by local commander Ivan Petrov. I will infiltrate. Jack muttered. Planning. Elena nodded. I'll go with you. Lily will be safe here. That night, Miami was alive with the vibrant music from the beach. Jack and Elena disguised themselves, he in a black suit. She in a seductive red dress, sneaking into the lavish party at the pristine white villa, chandeliers sparkling, the smell of alcohol and cigarettes mingling. The crowd laughed and chatted. Unaware that death was approaching, Jack scanned the room, spotting Ivan Petrov standing on the balcony. Tall, with a goatee, holding a champagne glass. He knows about the key. Elena whispered through the tiny earpiece. Jack nodded. Sneaking up to the second floor, avoiding cameras with signal jamming devices. In a closed room, Ivan was meeting with 3 henchmen. A map spread on the polished wooden table. Jack burst in through the window. Moving as swiftly as a cheetah, the first man turned, drawing his gun. But Jack kicked his hand, sending the gun flying. He charged forward, elbowing the man hard in the throat, causing him to choke and collapse. The second man swung a dagger. Slashing diagonally, Jack dodged, grabbing his wrist, twisting it back, the blade turning and stabbing into the man's own stomach. Blood sprayed, the stench rising. The third man jumped onto the table. Throwing a punch, Jack blocked it, driving his knee into the man's stomach, then delivering a hook to the jaw. The man fell, unconscious. Ivan drew a pistol, firing a shot that grazed Jack's shoulder. Warm blood oozing out. "Who are you?" Ivan roared, his Russian accent heavy. Jack lunged forward, dodging the second bullet, locking Ivan's arm, and punching him hard in the face. Blood streamed from Ivan's nose. "I am the hunter of Kuznetsov," Jack whispered, tightening his grip around his neck. Ivan scoffed. "He knows you have the key. From Russia to Spain. You won't escape." Jack tightened his grip further, his eyes blazing with rage for Sarah. Ivan struggled, then went limp. Jack searched his pockets, retrieving an encrypted phone. New evidence of the hacking plan. But the alarm blared. Henchmen rushed up from downstairs, rifles at the ready. Jack dashed into the hallway, firing back twice. Taking down one man, Elena shouted from below through the earpiece, "Fall back! They are surrounding us." Jack ran down the stairs, dodging a hail of bullets. Rolling behind the sofa, one man charged in with a metal pipe, swinging hard. Jack swept his leg, knocking him down, then kicked him in the chest. Another man wielded a knife, slashing repeatedly. Jack blocked it with his hands, metal clanging, then delivered a spinning kick to his face. They burst into the backyard, but the gate was blocked. Sewer Elena shouted, pointing to the underground escape route. Jack kicked the manhole cover open, a foul smell wafting up from the damp darkness. They jumped down, the black water rising to their knees. Rats scurrying about. The sound of footsteps chasing echoed from above. Jack led the way, gun at the ready. One henchman jumped down, charging in for close combat. Jack dodged the knife, elbowing the man's face. Blood splattering against the concrete wall. The other man fired from a distance, bullets ricocheting everywhere. Jack retaliated, hitting him in the chest. They ran down the narrow sewer, the rushing water flowing, the flickering flashlight illuminating the moss-covered walls. "Dad, wait for me," Lily shouted over the radio. Elena had contacted her. The anger within Jack turned into determination. He had to protect his family. Expose Kuznetsov. They emerged from a manhole near the beach, the salty sea breeze hitting their faces. Elena panted, "To Madrid. His lair is there." Jack nodded. his eyes sharp. The video and new evidence revealed a grand conspiracy, a global hack to control crime from Russia. He would not stop, even if faced with death. They plunged into the darkness of Miami. The hunt continuing, the scene shifted to Madrid, Spain, where Jack followed Victor to his underground lair. He coordinated with a local agent, but was betrayed again, leading to a gunfight in a dark basement. Discovering Victor was planning to attack the American financial network, the darkness of Miami swallowed Jack Harlan's vehicle, the engine's roar blending with the distant sound of waves crashing from the beach. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, glancing at the rear-view mirror. No more cars tailing him. But the anger still burned fiercely in his chest. Elena sat beside him, bandaging her wound. Lily asleep in the back seat. Ivan's phone has the coordinates. Elena said, her voice deep. Kuznetsov's lair is in Madrid. Spain. He is hacking the bank from there. Jack nodded. Making a quick decision, fly immediately. We must stop him before the hack spreads. They arrived at the airport, boarding a night flight. The atmosphere tense like a string about to snap. Jack thought of Sarah, about the conspiracy from Russia. It was time to end it. Early in the morning, Madrid appeared with its ancient buildings under a golden sun, its streets bustling with the sound of traffic and the smell of toasted bread from the cafes. Jack led Elena and Lily into a small hotel in the city center, with old stone walls and a window overlooking the Plaza Mayor. You stay here with Elena, he told Lily, stroking her hair. Dad is going to meet a local agent. Lily said worriedly, be careful. Dad. Jack nodded, his heart heavy. He didn't want to leave his daughter alone. But Kuznetsov had to pay. He met Carlos Ruiz, a local Interpol agent, in a dimly lit bar near the Manzanares River. Carlos was tall and thin, with sharp dark eyes. Wearing a grey suit, Harlan. I know about Kuznetsov. His stronghold is in a bunker beneath the old city. Jack handed him Ivan's phone. Here are the coordinates. We'll coordinate. Carlos nodded and led Jack down into Madrid's old sewer system, where stagnant water dripped from the moldy stone ceiling and a foul stench rose up. The flickering flashlight beam illuminated old graffiti-covered walls. This tunnel leads to a secret warehouse, Carlos whispered. Jack nodded, his hand tightening on his pistol, his senses on high alert. They moved deeper, the sound of their footsteps echoing. Suddenly, Carlos stopped and turned his gun on Jack. Sorry. Harlan, Kuznetsov pays better than Interpol. Betrayal. Jack dove for cover behind a stone pillar as the first bullet slammed into the wall, sending debris flying everywhere. You're on his payroll too, Jack roared, fury surging through him. Carlos sneered. He controls everything. From Russia to Spain. You're just a pawn. Jack fired back, the bullet grazing Carlos's shoulder, staining his suit jacket red. But from the shadows, 4 of Kuznetsov's henchmen emerged, assault rifles at the ready. A gunfight erupted in the dark tunnel, the sound of bullets ricocheting everywhere, muzzle flashes lighting up the darkness like lightning. Jack rolled to avoid a burst of fire. Taking cover behind a rusty metal barrel, one man charged forward, firing his pistol repeatedly. Jack fired back twice, hitting him in the chest. And as blood sprayed, the man collapsed into the dark. Stagnant water. A second man leaped from above, a dagger flashing. Jack sidestepped, locked the man's wrist, and twisted it back, turning the blade to plunge into the man's own thigh. He screamed, and Jack delivered a powerful punch to his face. The crack of a breaking jaw echoing. Carlos fired from a distance, a bullet grazing Jack's ear, drawing warm blood. Jack charged, slamming his elbow into Carlos's gun, sending it flying. They engaged in close combat, Fists flying like a storm, Carlos threw a kick, which Jack blocked. A sharp pain radiating through his arm, but he countered with a hook to the stomach. As Carlos doubled over, Jack put him in a chokehold. Tell me, what is Kuznetsov's plan? Carlos coughed up blood. To hack the US financial system from a server here. He wants to crash Wall Street. Jack tightened his grip. His eyes blazing, the plot was bigger than he had thought. Not just personal revenge, but a threat to the entire world. The two remaining men charged, one swinging an iron pipe with great force. Jack released Carlos, rolled away, and picked up a knife from the floor, slashing diagonally across the man's leg. Blood sprayed, and he collapsed. The last man fired his assault rifle, bullets piercing the metal barrel. Jack leaped forward, kicked the gun away, and then unleashed a barrage of punches to his face. Blood poured from the man's mouth as he crumpled. The tunnel was now silent, save for the dripping water and Jack's ragged breaths. He searched Carlos's pockets and took an access card, the key to Kuznetsov's server. But the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the entrance. More forces, Jack ran deeper into the tunnel. The cold stone walls brushing against his skin, he found the server room, where blinking green lights emanated from towering servers and the air was chilled by cooling fans. He inserted the card, and a screen lit up with the plan to hack American banks, transferring money through the dark web from Russia. A mix of rage and tragedy welled up inside him. Sarah had died because of this man, and now he wanted to destroy the economy. Jack downloaded the data onto a USB drive, but an alarm blared. The room's door locked shut, and poison gas began to spray from the ceiling. Jack smashed a ventilation grate and climbed into a narrow air duct, the air thick and suffocating. His body drenched in sweat. The sounds of henchmen in pursuit echoed behind him. He emerged from a manhole on a Madrid street, the bright sun hitting his face. Rushing back to the hotel, he hugged Lily. Dad's okay. Elena examined the data. He's targeting Wall Street in 48 hours. Jack nodded, his eyes resolute to the Manzanares River. That tunnel leads there. They plunged into a new chase. Madrid transformed into a deadly maze. Jack knew he had to stop Kuznetsov before it was too late. But the constant betrayals made him wonder who could he still trust. The fight continued, fueled by the burning fire of revenge. Recalling the tragic moment he lost his wife on a past mission, Jack threw himself into a car chase along the Manzanares River. Fighting off a group of motorcyclists, Jack managed to save a key witness, revealing that Victor had an ally within the CIA. The image of Sarah collapsing in a pool of blood in Paris flashed through his mind, causing Jack Harlan to grip the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. A light rain had fallen on the Seine River that year, the sound of gunshots echoing as Sarah whispered, "Jack, save the key. Save us." She died in his arms, her eyes wide open with regret. Jack gritted his teeth, pushing the tragic memory from his mind. This was not the time for grief. Madrid was in chaos as he sped a truck through narrow streets, the pale yellow streetlights reflecting on the wet pavement. Elena sat beside him, checking her pistol. The data shows Kuznetsov's server is near the Manzanares River. From the back seat, Lily's voice was anxious. "Dad, are we going to win?" Jack nodded, his eyes cold as steel. "We have to win. For your mother." The truck sped along the Manzanares River, the dark river water shimmering under the moonlight, its banks lined with dense trees. In the rearview mirror, Jack saw 3 black SUVs closing in, their headlights glaring like wolves' eyes. "Here they come," Elena whispered, opening the window and firing a shot at the lead vehicle's tire. The tire exploded, and the SUV flipped over, temporarily blocking the other 2. But from the darkness, 4 heavy-duty motorcycles emerged, their engines roaring, drowning out the river wind. Kuznetsov's henchmen, clad in black helmets, had their pistols aimed. Jack slammed on the accelerator, the truck rattling on the uneven road. One of the motorcyclists pulled alongside, firing repeatedly at the windshield. The glass shattered, sending shards flying. Jack swerved the wheel, nudging the motorcycle, causing the rider to lose control and crash into the river railing, plunging into the dark water below. Lily screamed, "Dad!" Elena returned fire, hitting another rider in the shoulder. He staggered but held on. Jack swerved across the Toledo Bridge, its lights twinkling, but the group of motorcycles cut him off, blocking his path. The truck screeched to a halt. Jack jumped out, pulling Elena and Lily behind the vehicle for cover. "Protect Lily," he yelled to Elena. 4 henchmen dismounted and charged, engaging in close combat. The first one swung a dagger in a wide arc. Jack dodged, grabbed the man's wrist, and twisted it back, turning the blade to plunge into the man's own thigh. Blood sprayed as he screamed in pain. The second man threw a high kick, which Jack blocked with his elbow, a sharp pain shooting through him, before he countered with a hook punch to the jaw. The man fell flat, blood pouring from his mouth. From behind the truck, Elena fired, taking down another man from a distance with a shot to the chest. The last man charged with an iron pipe, swinging it like a sledgehammer. Jack rolled out of the way, picked up a knife from the pavement, and slashed at the man's leg. Red blood stained the cobblestones as he collapsed. Jack grabbed him by the collar. "Who sent you?" The man coughed up blood. "Kuznetsov. He has an ally in the CIA. A witness here. Knows everything." Jack knocked him unconscious with a sharp blow to the face. In the distance, sirens wailed. More forces were coming. Jack pulled Elena and Lily back into the truck and sped off along the river. But one remaining motorcycle gave chase, the rider shattering the rear window with a gunshot. Jack braked suddenly, and the motorcycle slammed into the back of the truck. The rider flew over the hood, tumbling onto the road. Jack stopped the truck and checked on him. He was alive, but badly injured. "Tell me, who is the witness?" Jack growled, pressing his gun to the man's head. The man gasped for air. "Maria Lopez. Hiding in a village near the river. She knows about Kuznetsov's CIA ally." Jack nodded, left him there, and drove toward the village. They arrived at a small village on the outskirts of Madrid, its ancient stone houses bathed in moonlight, the air filled with the scent of olives and damp earth. Maria Lopez, a middle-aged woman with deep-set dark eyes, opened the door, holding a shotgun. "Who is it?" Jack quickly explained, showing her the data from the USB drive. Maria nodded, leading them into a dark wooden house. "I used to work for Kuznetsov in Russia. He bought Alan Reed, a high-ranking CIA agent. Reed provides him with information, helping him hack from Spain." Jack clenched his fists, rage boiling inside him. Betrayal from his own former organization. "Where is Reed?" he asked. Maria shook her head, hiding in Barcelona. "But Kuznetsov knows about me." "They will come." As if on cue, the roar of engines echoed from a distance. 3 SUVs sped into the village, and henchmen jumped out, their assault rifles scanning the area. Jack pushed Maria and Lily into the house. "Take cover." He and Elena took positions behind a stone wall and returned fire. Bullets chipped away at the wall, sending stone fragments flying. One man charged the door, but Jack met him with a spinning kick, taking him down in the doorway. A second man threw a grenade. Jack rolled, shoved the grenade back outside, and the explosion shook the village, erupting in flames. Elena took down 2 men from a distance, but another one grabbed Maria from behind, dragging her into the courtyard. "Let her go!" Jack yelled, charging forward. The man pointed a gun at Maria's head. Jack leaped, kicked the gun away, and then delivered a rapid series of punches to the man's face. Blood sprayed, and the man collapsed. Maria gasped for breath. "Thank you." "Reed is in an abandoned building in Barcelona. He has the proof." Jack nodded, having saved the key witness. But the sound of a helicopter grew louder. More of Kuznetsov's forces were arriving. They scrambled into the truck, and the chase continued along the river. Jack thought of Sarah, of the tragedy of his loss, and his resolve hardened. An ally in the CIA, the conspiracy ran deeper. He would go to Barcelona, expose Reed, and stop Kuznetsov. The Manzanares River shimmered behind them, but the war was far from over. With a mix of fury and hope, Jack sped into the darkness. "You will pay." Jack snarled as he faced Victor in an abandoned building in Barcelona. An intense hand-to-hand battle ensued. A flurry of martial arts and improvised weapons, interspersed with internal moments of reflection on justice and loss, leading to Jack securing a piece of the device. "You will pay." Jack Harlan snarled, his deep voice thick with rage, echoing through the abandoned building in Barcelona. The air was heavy. Dust covered the cracked concrete floor, and faint sunlight streamed through broken windows, illuminating the graffiti-stained walls. Viktor Kuznetsov stood opposite him, tall and imposing in a tailored black suit, his cold blue eyes glinting in the dim light. Behind him stood 4 muscular henchmen, weapons at the ready. Jack had tracked Alan Reed, the traitorous CIA ally, here from Madrid, only to find Reed already dead, his throat slit, dried blood staining the floor. Kuznetsov was waiting, like a predator. Elena and Lily were hidden in a nearby village, temporarily safe. But Jack knew this fight was his alone. Kuznetsov sneered, his Russian accent heavy. "Harlan, you're persistent. From Russia to Spain, you just keep following. Where is the key?" Jack clenched his fists as memories of Sarah flooded back, his wife, dead because of this man during a mission in Paris. Her blood on his hands. 10 years of suppressed justice now erupted. Without another word, Jack charged, launching a spinning kick at Kuznetsov's chest. He sidestepped, blocking with his elbow, the impact sending a jolt of pain through Jack. But he countered with a punch as heavy as a sledgehammer to Jack's shoulder. Blood trickled from Jack's mouth, and he staggered but did not fall. The henchman moved in. The first one slashed with a dagger. Jack ducked aside, grabbed his wrist, and twisted it back, turning the blade to plunge deep into the man's own stomach. Blood sprayed, its metallic scent filling the dusty air. The second man swung an iron pipe, the wind whistling past Jack's ear. Jack rolled away, grabbed a shard of broken glass from the floor as an improvised weapon, and slashed it across the man's thigh. Red blood stained the concrete as the man collapsed. Screaming, Kuznetsov drew a pistol and fired a shot that grazed Jack's ear, drawing warm blood. Jack charged forward, kicked the gun from his hand, and they engaged in close combat. Fists flew like a storm, and Jack landed a hook to his jaw. Hearing the distinct crack of bone, an internal moment washed over him amidst the chaos. Jack remembered Sarah's gentle smile, then her pale face in death. The loss was agonizing, but it fueled his strength. "For Sarah," he whispered, driving a powerful kick into Kuznetsov's stomach, causing him to double over. The third henchman jumped him from behind, wrapping a steel wire around Jack's neck. The air left his lungs as he struggled, ramming his elbow backward into the man's face. He heard the crunch of a breaking nose, and the wire loosened. Jack spun around, delivering a relentless series of punches to the man's chest, the crack of ribs echoing as the man crumpled to the ground. Gasping for air, Kuznetsov rose, his eyes bloodshot. "You think you're a hero? I'll kill your daughter just like I killed your wife." The words struck at his deepest pain. And Jack roared, charging like a wild animal. They wrestled on the floor, dust billowing around them. Kuznetsov kneed Jack in the stomach, the pain searing. But Jack managed to lock his arm. Bending the elbow backward, a sickening snap echoed as the bone broke, and he screamed. The last henchman rushed forward with a knife. Slashing downward, Jack rolled, swept the man's legs out from under him, and then stomped hard on his throat. The man choked, then lay still. Jack got to his feet, breathing heavily, his shirt soaked with blood. Kuznetsov was on one knee, clutching his broken elbow. But he still managed a weak sneer. "You may have won this battle, but my plan is much bigger. The hack will bring America to its knees." Jack grabbed him by the throat, his eyes blazing. "Tell me, where is the device?" Kuznetsov coughed up blood. "One part is here. The other is in Nepal. My CIA ally hid it." Jack searched his pockets and found a small hard drive, part of the encryption device, its metallic case glinting in the faint light. This was a piece of the puzzle needed to disable the hack from Russia. But the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the entrance. More forces. Jack shoved Kuznetsov to the ground, ran to a broken window, and jumped to the rooftop below. Pain shot through his old wounds, but he gritted his teeth and ran through the narrow streets of Barcelona, the salty scent of the Mediterranean Sea filling the air. Henchmen pursued him, firing their guns, bullets embedding in the ancient stone walls. Jack disappeared into a crowd of tourists, weaving through the Ramblas square with its flashing neon lights. One man got close, a knife in his hand. Jack spun, blocked the blade with his forearm, and then landed a punch to his face. Blood sprayed as the man fell backward into a fountain. He made it to where Elena and Lily were hiding, a small seaside cafe. Elena examined the hard drive. "This is the encryption component. The other part is in Nepal," just like he said. Lily hugged her father. "You're hurt, Dad." Jack stroked her hair, a sense of tragic purpose filling him, the loss of Sarah, the fight for justice for the world. But he had secured a piece of the victory. "We have to go to Nepal." Kuznetsov won't stop. But in his mind, the internal question returned. Was he sacrificing too much? What price was justice worth? They disappeared into the Barcelona night, the hard drive a heavy weight in his pocket. The hand-to-hand battle was over, but a bigger hunt lay ahead. Jack knew that to end this, he would have to face death in Nepal, with a mix of fury and determination. He hit the accelerator, heading for the airport. Tensions escalate as Jack is severely wounded, taking refuge in a Nepalese village to recover. But he is hunted by Russian mercenaries. He must use his wits to set traps, fight in the falling snow, and contact Lily to prepare for the final battle. The plane landed with a jolt on the snow-covered runway in Kathmandu, Nepal. The biting wind, cutting like a razor. Jack Harlan stepped out, clutching an old wound on his shoulder, blood seeping through the makeshift bandage. But he gritted his teeth and endured. Elena supported Lily, who clung to her mother, her eyes wide at the sight of the distant, snow-capped Himalayas. "Dad, why are you so pale?" Lily asked, her voice filled with worry. Jack forced a smile. "I'm fine. We need to hide in a nearby village." The hard drive from Kuznetsov felt heavy in his pocket, containing part of the encryption device. The rest was hidden in Nepal. According to him, the final piece, to neutralize the hack from Russia to Spain. But the wound from the Barcelona fight left Jack exhausted, and rage welled up inside him. He would make him pay for Sarah. They rented an old jeep and sped onto the rugged mountain roads, with light snow blurring their vision. The small village nestled at the foot of the mountain, its wooden houses with sloping, snow-covered roofs, and smoke billowing from stone chimneys. The locals wore thick fur coats, their eyes squinting against the cold wind. Jack led Elena and Lily into a simple inn with creaking wooden floors and a warmly crackling fireplace. "Get some rest," he said, sitting on the bed to check the hard drive. The data indicated the other part of the device was hidden in an ancient monastery on the mountain, placed there by Kuznetsov's CIA ally, Alan Reed. But Jack felt his body burning up. The wound infected. Elena rebandaged it. "You need a doctor. Kuznetsov will find us." That night, the snow fell heavily, and the wind howled like a wolf outside the window. Jack lay awake, reminiscing about Sarah, her warm smile. Then the tragic moment she fell in Paris. That loss now fueled him. But he wondered, was justice worth sacrificing Lily early in the morning? The sound of an engine echoed from a distance. Russian mercenaries had arrived, tracking them from Barcelona. Jack shot up, a sharp pain spreading through him, and drew his pistol. "Elena, take Lily and hide behind the house." Lily trembled. "Dad, don't go." Jack kissed her forehead. "I'll be back. Contact me on the radio if you need to." He rushed out into the white snow, the cold wind stinging his face like needles. 4 mercenaries jumped out of a black jeep, their faces obscured by fur hats, their rifles ready. They moved professionally, scanning the village. Jack used his wits. Quickly setting a trap, he tied a rope to an old tree. Concealing it with snow, the first man walked into it, the rope tightening around his leg and hoisting him upside down. Jack burst from the shadows of the trees, delivering a kick to his chest that cracked his ribs. The man collapsed, red blood staining the white snow. The remaining 3 opened fire, bullets embedding in tree trunks and sending bark flying everywhere. Jack rolled behind a snow-covered boulder, the biting cold seeping through his clothes. One man charged forward, a dagger glinting in the weak sunlight. Jack dodged, grabbing his wrist and twisting it back, turning the blade to plunge into the man's own shoulder. Blood spurted as he screamed. Jack punched him hard in the face, breaking his jaw, and the man crumpled into the snow. The second man leaped from above, throwing a heavy punch. Jack blocked with his elbow, pain shooting through him, but he countered with a spinning kick to the stomach. As the man doubled over, Jack grabbed him in a chokehold, snapping his neck with a sharp crack. The last man fired from a distance, the bullet grazing Jack's arm. Hot blood mixing with the cold snow, Jack charged. Using the snow as a diversion, he threw a large handful, creating a blinding white cloud. The man was disoriented, and Jack leaped forward, kicking the gun away before delivering a barrage of punches to his chest. Blood poured from the man's mouth as he collapsed. Jack grabbed him by the collar. "Where is the device component?" The man gasped for air. "Kuznetsov sent it from Russia. It's hidden in the monastery on the mountain." Jack punched him hard, knocking him unconscious. The village was now silent, with only the howling wind and falling snow. Back at the inn, Jack was gasping for breath. His old wound had reopened, and blood soaked his shirt. Elena bandaged him up. "You almost died." Lily hugged her father, crying, "Dad." "I was so scared." Jack stroked her hair, his heart heavy with tragedy. "I have to go get the device component. You stay with Elena." He contacted Lily on the radio, instructing her, "If I don't come back, you have to run to the American embassy." Lily whispered, "You have to come back." "Dad?" Jack nodded, his rage burning. Kuznetsov would not win. He climbed the mountain alone as the snow fell thick and the wind shrieked like a demon. He reached the ancient monastery, its stone walls covered in moss, wind chimes tinkling in the cold air. Inside, darkness enveloped everything, with a statue of Buddha shimmering in the candlelight. Jack found the safe hidden behind the altar and entered the code from the hard drive. The door swung open, revealing the glittering second device component, the final piece to disable the hack. But footsteps echoed. More Russian mercenaries had followed him. A battle erupted in the frigid monastery. The first man rushed in, firing a pistol. Jack ducked behind a stone pillar and returned fire, hitting him in the chest. Red blood spread across the stone floor. The second man, armed with a knife, slashed repeatedly. Jack blocked with his forearm, the clash of metal ringing out, then delivered a punch to his throat. The man choked and collapsed. The last one swung a club, but Jack swept his legs out from under him and stomped hard on his chest. Bones broke, and he lay motionless. Jack escaped, the device component in hand, and ran back to the village through the falling snow. But a Russian helicopter appeared, its searchlight sweeping down. He radioed Lily. "Get ready to run." Tensions escalated, and Jack knew the final battle in Moscow awaited. A mix of rage and determination filled him as he plunged into the Nepalese darkness, ready for the climax. A major twist reveals Victor is the biological brother of Jack's late wife, leading to a climax in Moscow, Russia, with an all-out battle, gunfights, close combat, and the disabling of the device. The story ends on an open note, with Jack choosing a path of underground justice, leaving a lingering theme of sacrifice and redemption. The Russian helicopter roared over the snow-covered Nepalese sky, its searchlight sweeping down like the eye of a hunting monster. But Jack Harlan had already plunged into the darkness of the mountain forest, the second device component heavy in his pocket. He ran down to the village, the cold wind cutting his skin, his clothes covered in snow. Elena and Lily were waiting in the jeep, its engine running hot. "Dad's back," Lily shouted, hugging him tightly. Jack gasped for breath as he checked the device. The two pieces were now complete, enough to disable Viktor Kuznetsov's hacking network. To Moscow, Russia. "That's the final stronghold," he said, his eyes determined. Elena nodded. "He'll be waiting there." They sped down the mountain, snow flying, heading for the airport. Jack knew the climax was coming. Vengeance for Sarah, and an end to the conspiracy that stretched from Spain to America. The plane landed in Moscow late at night amidst heavy snowfall, the pale yellow streetlights illuminating the ancient, snow-covered buildings. The city was frigid, with the north wind whistling through Red Square. Jack led Elena and Lily to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts, its concrete walls cracked and smelling of old machine oil. "You stay here with Elena," he said, handing the radio to Lily. "I'm going to end this." Lily's eyes welled with tears. "Promise me," Jack nodded, his heart heavy. Too much had been sacrificed. But justice demanded it. He plugged the two device components into an old laptop, the encryption running quickly, ready to disable Kuznetsov's server. According to Maria's data, the stronghold was in a bunker beneath the old Kremlin, where Kuznetsov commanded his global hack. Jack slipped through the night, light snow blurring his vision, the wind howling like a curse. He climbed over a rusty iron fence and entered a damp underground sewer, stagnant water dripping from the ceiling. Suddenly, a spotlight flashed on, revealing Kuznetsov standing there, tall in a fur coat, his blue eyes cold. "Harlan, you've arrived," he sneered, his Russian accent thick. Jack froze as he saw his face clearly in the dim light. He looked strangely like Sarah. The features familiar. "You. Are you Sarah's brother?" Jack whispered, rage and shock surging through him. Kuznetsov nodded. "Yes. My sister died because of you. Because of the CIA. Now I will take the key, and my hack will bring down the world you hold so dear." The revelation cut Jack's heart like a knife, Sarah had died because of her own brother. A hidden family conspiracy. Without another word, Jack lunged, aiming a kick at his chest. Kuznetsov dodged and countered with a heavy punch, drawing blood from Jack's mouth. Henchmen emerged from the shadows. 6 men, with rifles at the ready. An all-out battle erupted in the dark bunker. The sound of ricocheting bullets everywhere, lit by flashes from the muzzles. Jack rolled behind a metal container, fired 2 shots, and took 1 man down, his red blood spreading on the cold concrete floor. 1 man charged in for close combat, a dagger flashing. Jack sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, and twisted it back, plunging the man's own blade deep into his chest. Blood sprayed as he collapsed. A second man swung an iron pipe, the air whistling. Jack swept his legs out from under him and stomped hard on his throat, the bones crushing with a sickening crack. Kuznetsov fired from a distance, the bullet grazing Jack's shoulder, drawing hot blood. Jack rushed him, kicked the gun away, and they grappled on the damp floor. Fists flew like a storm, and Jack landed a hook to his jaw, drawing blood from Kuznetsov's mouth. "For Sarah!" Jack roared, choking him, but Kuznetsov drove a knee into his stomach, the searing pain causing Jack to fall back. The 3 remaining henchmen charged in, one of them throwing a grenade. Jack rolled away as the explosion shook the bunker, filling the air with dust. He leaped up, delivering a spinning kick to 1 man's face, his jaw cracking audibly. The second man slashed repeatedly with a knife. Jack blocked with his forearm, the sound of clashing metal ringing out, before punching him in the throat. The man choked and went down. The last one fired his rifle, bullets piercing the container. Jack rushed forward, locked his arm, broke his elbow, and then punched him hard in the chest. Bones shattered, and he lay motionless. Kuznetsov got to his feet, his eyes wild. "You won't win. The server is running." Jack charged 1 last time, and the 2 brothers-in-law grappled. He was Sarah's brother, but he was the enemy. Jack choked him, thinking of his losses: Sarah, his broken family, the path of underground justice. Kuznetsov struggled, but Jack was stronger, squeezing until he lost consciousness. He rushed to the server, its green lights blinking, and plugged in the completed device. The code ran swiftly, and the hack was neutralized. America's banks were safe. The criminal network had collapsed, but sirens blared as Russian forces arrived. Jack tied up Kuznetsov and escaped through the sewer into the heavy falling snow outside. He returned to the warehouse and hugged Lily. "It's over." Elena smiled. "You did it." But Jack knew the CIA would hunt him for knowing too much. He chose the path of underground justice, to live in the shadows, hunting other villains, sacrificing his peace for redemption. "Where are we going now?" Lily asked. Jack looked out at the white snow. "Somewhere new. I'll always protect you." The lingering feeling was heavy. The sacrifice was great. But justice had prevailed. They disappeared into the Moscow darkness, their future open and full of uncertainty.